This is The Heat Source, the podcast where we learn everything we can about hot sauce, one bottle at a time. We are your hosts, Mike and Matt, and today we're trying Salsa Roja by Faiya. Let's heat up. All right, well, welcome back, everybody. It's been 2 weeks since our last episode.
Has it?
It has. Last week was a off week.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, life happened.
Life happened. We had a very busy weekend with all of the recipes that got posted on stories of you were camping, I was camping.
Yeah.
Got to see a lot of pretty awesome food combinations with hot sauce. Sometimes not just poured on top. Sometimes it was cooked in there, which is a way that I don't use as much, but I'm wanting to try to do more of. But this week, we have a pretty exciting sauce because the maker is one that's been following us pretty much from the beginning.
Super interactive, too.
Super interactive. It's Faiya Hot Sauce Company from, and this is actually Salsa Roja, but this is Roddy, who's been, I think, following us from the beginning. He commented about how he listens along with the podcast. He has conversations similar to what we're having. So this one, the Salsa Roja, he's got a lot of sauces. We're going to try a lot of them. I'm excited for quite a few of them. But this is a classic
I would say
sauce.
This is one of the most classic hot sauces we've tried yet, where it's like, this is chili, some vinegar.
Absolutely.
You know,
I mean,
some seasonings.
Chili de arbol and habanero, some really good flavors coming out of those. So I had a camping weekend I tried a s'more where I put agave jalapeno on it because I saw it on an Instagram page last week, and it was good. It's not for everybody. It is a different flavor, but jalapeno, chocolate, the agave with all that sweetness, it was really good. Nice.
No, it looked good. I saw the story of it.
And then you had you had a pretty good burger on yours.
Did. Yeah. So we went camping. So when it comes to camping, like, I definitely go out there to be a minimalist. So I have like a bin. I consider, like, if I'm in a tent and we're at a drive-up campsite, to me that's glamping. Where it's like, I have a bin, I grab like an extra shirt, extra pair of shorts. That's like my packing, and I grab the bin and I'm ready to go. But, so I didn't bring any hot sauce with me, but we ended up we were in Glen Arbor, we went to a restaurant / everything cherry you can think of. It's a place called Cherry Republic, and had a smoked Serrano burger. And that was really good, and they make their own hot sauce, so that it was it's called Cherry Bomb, and that was a really good hot sauce. Sweet with, it was Fresno chilies in there. Dumped that all over the burger. That was pretty good camping, I guess.
Yeah, it was. We had the camping last week. Before that, I was posting about we were on Mackinac Island. I was searching for heat on Mackinac Island, and I found one that was pretty toasty. It
was the wings, right?
The Ghost Barbecue wings from...
Is it Great Turtle?
Yeah, it was the Great Turtle Brewing Company. They had that, and then they had a flaming hot Cheeto meatloaf sandwich. But I knew that the flaming hot Cheeto one probably wasn't going to be as impressive. So, like, flaming hot Cheetos aren't flavorful. They're just... Yeah. I don't know. You know what I'm talking about.
They're just there.
I love them. I've had them a handful of times, but it was more the idea of the meal that was interesting to me. So I went with the Ghost Barbecue, and it was full Ghost.
So I think to tangent on Flamin' Hot Cheetos, you had the same experience in Mexico, right? Where it's, if you buy the Flamin' Hot Cheetos in Mexico, they're 100% different than the ones you get in the U.S.
Yeah, a few things are different, like Doritos. Yeah. Doritos are delicious.
They're way better.
Way better.
Way better than crossing the border.
I did have to double check the Cheetos we got our kids in Mexico because they're very much a brighter red. Yeah. So I was like, all right, let me just try one because even though it says it's not Flamin' Hot, nothing on this says heat. It's just so bright red that I had to try it. And it was, it was good. It was different. Again, the flavors, it's a different type of flavor. So yeah. But yeah, so we're trying Faiya hot sauce. This is one that he's got a lot of sauces. I know that we have, I think, his full setup in our collection, and we're going to be doing quite a few quick fires with a lot of his sauce. But this is the Salsa Roja, like we said. This ingredient list, let me just go through real quick. Red pepper, apple cider vinegar, tomato, onion, dried chilies, lemon juice, cilantro, fresh habanero peppers, garlic, kosher salt, and cumin. So there's a lot of different flavor in there. There's a lot of... I told him, I actually messaged him today, and I was just like, I'm already planning on what I'm going to put this on for lunch tomorrow.
Yeah.
So this one I'm taking with me. Although we do have 2 bottles of this because he did send us a new one because the consistency of his original batch he sent said it was a little bit more watery than what they're supposed to be. So this is the right consistency, which is great for taste testing. But that other one, I'm still going to put on.
Oh, yeah. That one's not going to waste.
It's like, oh, no, it's going to, it's a little bit more runny. Oh, well,
bummer.
I'm still going to be enjoying that because I can tell just the color on this is just a dark red that is just asking to be smothered on a lot of things.
Everything.
He even on the description, he even talks about, this is your new sauce for everything: eggs, wings, soup, meat, tacos, nachos, pizza, Bloody Mary. Bloody Mary would be really.
Oh yeah.
Like we haven't tried it yet, but we're just getting excited. Yeah. And then it's just the endless possibilities. He put this as a heat level of hot. I don't know what that. I didn't look at the other bottles to see what the scale, but he did on. I listened to a few different podcast episodes where he was on Spill the Sauce because him and Sam Hastings from Sam Sauce have been close for a few years here, like both starting up around the same time. And he was on Tasting the Heat or Talking Heat. I'm sorry, 2 different podcasts, too many different heats. But Talking Heat, and he talked about at one of them. I think it was the Spill the Sauce. He kind of went through just a little rundown of where the heat is on each one. And I think this was like a 6 out of 10, if I remember right, of what he said on that. But it's all preference and tolerance. And, each batch, the fun thing about the small batch community is you get a little bit of variance from each batch. Like he does a La Muerte that's limited edition, and he'll do batches of it. And if he tweaks it and changes it, you might get something unique that you wouldn't have gotten in the previous.
Yeah.
Which also is a reason, selling point of every time he has a new batch,
a reason to
get it and try. The El Perro Fortunato from Lucky Dog. He had that new batch where he's like, hey, this is a lot hotter than originally intended, as my kids got home. Yeah. So, which I will say this is a good one to have a little bit of the kids running upstairs. Moderation. Because on a few of those episodes that Roddy has done, his kids come in and out of whether it be the coffee talks he does or whatever. So it is fitting that this would have kids running in and out of the audio here to start.
Couple things. You'd mentioned a Bloody Mary. We went to a place in, it was Leland.
Okay.
I think I sent you the photo of a Bloody Mary, and it's called a Chubby Mary up there. And it's got a whole smoked fish in it. It's the entire fish. It's like a foot long.
That would be good.
Up north, there's Cisco's, but they call them Chubs for some reason.
Okay.
But it's just the entire smoked fish dunked in a Bloody Mary, and that's what you get. So it's like they give you a Bloody Mary and a plate with a fork and a knife.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so good.
There's a place on Mackinac Island that I think it's Village Inn, used to do a Bloody Mary with a whole chicken. But a smoked fish, I feel like would be a better.
It goes with it.
Yeah,
yeah. So
want that smokiness, that kind of fishy, that umami.
Yep, they had a horseradish vodka in there.
I love horseradish.
It was. If you ever come to northern Michigan, you got to get either the smoked whitefish or the smoked Cisco or chub. It's so good.
That sounds good.
Yeah, I think that takes the place as my new favorite Bloody Mary for sure. And the other thing I was going to mention, you'd mentioned kind of like the variants in small batches. Mm-hmm. My brother-in-law, he's really big into like craft beer. And like I don't really care for craft beer, but I like KBS.
Okay.
And he'd be like, whenever I went into his fridge, he's like, you can touch anything except
Founders?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, you can take any of the KBS you want, but he's like, don't touch the 2013 or something.
Okay.
Like he won't let me touch that one because that's the best year he's ever had.
So he is holding on to those.
Yeah, he holds on to those, and he's like, you touch any other year, but like the variance of this one is considerably better than the other ones to the point where he's like, just don't touch that one.
I remember when I was at a bar specifically for when that came out, and they tapped the keg, and it was this big thing where everyone's just waiting to have KBS. Like they had a keg of it, and it was a big time thing, and it was weird because I knew people from other areas of the Midwest outside of Grand Rapids and really outside of Michigan that talked about the KBS, and I'm like, I didn't think it was that big. I didn't realize I'm not as big of a beer guy.
Oh yeah.
Especially now, I realized I had a few beers this last vacation, and I'm just like, man, when's the last time I had like 2 beers in the same day? Because usually I'm like liquor, I'm whiskey, I'm scotch, I'm gin and tonic. Gin and tonic's my great summertime drink, but yeah, that was
Yep. We were in Norway, and we were at a liquor store. I wandered over to the import section, and I found a tall boy Bud Light in the import section that was like $15. Everything's super expensive in Norway. And then there was actually Founders, KBS, and gosh, I think it was All Day IPA.
Okay.
In Norway. But that was really neat to see. Like, to us, it's local.
Right.
You know, and then to show up in a decently foreign country and just see that. You're like, oh, that's like 10 minutes down the road.
Right. And just talking about kind of different locations in different areas. This is a Philadelphia-based sauce. Now, it's a little bit different because we had a Mammoth Sauce Company that's also based out of Philadelphia.
Glad you brought that up, but continue.
Yeah. But this is something where he's based in Philadelphia, but just about 10 years ago, I think it actually was exactly 10 years ago, he moved to Philadelphia from Santo Domingo of the Dominican Republic.
Oh, nice.
So you're going to see in his array of sauces a lot of that culture coming through. And we'll talk about, he had an original 4 of the sauces that came out. And that was an original 3 that he did to start it. And the first one that he created had a lot of influence with his time and his experience with the Dominican food and culture.
Nice.
So let's crack this open so we can start getting into this. I'm going to try to not mess up the seal. I see one perforation here. This is going to be a big one. All right.
Don't screw it up.
They've been a little tricky lately. Oh, man. I don't know if this one's going to work as well, but here we go. That was...
It's a very crisp snap.
Well, it split. It sealed well.
At least you're not talking over this one.
Yeah, that was an abrupt...
That's a big spike on the old graph there.
Yeah, so again, this is a very nice dark red sauce in appearance. You can see the seeds in there. It's a little bit more on the runny side. It's not watery, but it does have pretty good run, so be careful with your pour. And because it is a Philadelphia sauce, again, we're using these tasting spoons that Mammoth Sauce Company makes. So It's Philadelphia sauce tasted on a Philadelphia spoon. You know, classic Philadelphia spoons.
With the word Mammoth on it, so...
Yeah.
You know, can't beat that.
Yeah, you love Mammoth. Did you hear the news recently about some...
Tell me what it is, Matthew.
Was it a mastodon that they discovered?
Where at?
In Granville, right? Wait. No, it was near you.
Just friggin' north of my house. They found a mastodon. There was a road... And that was my big news.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I saw the news, and Angela was texting me about it, or she was telling me about it. I was going to text you, but then I'm like, no, I'm going to wait. But then we're in a group text that someone did say, Mike, you should look at this link. And I didn't say anything because I'm like, hopefully.
I forgot they sent that. So many people sent it to me.
Hopefully he misses it. But yeah, I should have known. Like, no one's going to.
I didn't know I knew this many people. Yeah. But I can't tell you how many people sent that to me because they knew I would get excited about it. How many people you know
that also know about your love of dinosaurs?
I had no idea.
Oh, yeah. I'm ready for this.
Yeah. All
right, let's taste this. Oh, I'm putting that on a lot of stuff.
That is very good.
So you get the vinegar. He did talk about how, he maybe uses a little bit more vinegar than he should because he just hears that's what makes everything shelf stable. Mm-hmm. But I love that.
I get a good acidity kick from the lime in there.
Yeah. You get the apple cider vinegar, the lime, the cilantro comes through. The one thing is like all of the sauces that we used to have getting at the grocery, like Frank's, whatever, all of them have that vinegar base that too much vinegar isn't really a deterrent for me. Yeah, and I don't think this is too much vinegar.
I think prefer a lot of vinegar in my hot sauce.
And it is going to be shelf stable. It has a good heat to it. It has a nice warmth, like it's lingering. Mm-hmm. You already went in for a second spoonful. I'm trying to see how long the heat lasts.
I did. I'm thinking about straws right now.
Yeah, that is good. Like,
whoop, whoop, whoop.
All I want to do is please do not waste the sauce by overfilling your spoon. I
just got so excited.
I think this is a really solid 2 in heat.
Yeah.
Because we have the scale of 0 to 5, 0 no heat, 1 there's a presence of heat, 2 is like kind of lingering in your mouth there, 3 is where you get that reaction. Now I'm not getting any type of reaction. I'm going to take a second spoonful if you... Did you do 2 or 3?
3. Share some with the rest of us. Jeez.
Oh, I already spilled one.
My side of the table is just colored with all different colors of sauces.
Yeah, this is something where if we ever were to have a booth somewhere
Yeah.
For sanitary reasons, we're not probably going to use this blanket, but I want to have it hung up somewhere or have it folded underneath the table. Or if someone that listens to the podcast is like, "Can I see the blanket?" Be like,
here it is. You're never allowed to wash this.
It's like the this is real sacrilege, but it's like there's the shroud that Jesus was wrapped in where you can see his face in it.
Oh yeah.
And it's like no one clean this, no one doing like preserve it.
Yeah.
This is a grosser version of that, and more blasphemous.
This is where Mike once sat.
Yeah. Like this is when Mike didn't know that it was a thinner sauce and just splash mountain all over the.
He knew it was a thin sauce. He just got excited about it.
This is really good. I'm thinking like nachos is the first thing that comes to mind. Is I want to smother this on top of nachos. It has.
That is a wet burrito hot sauce.
Yeah, wet burrito would be. Oh, which the next wet burrito place we have to try? Because this could be our travel buddy to it.
I think we're next one I want to try is the well, I've had it a million times, but I want you to try is
It's up in Rockford?
Sparta, downtown Trini's. They're Big Nasty. It's called the Big Nasty, and it's Benny style, which is like peppers and onions sauteed in cilantro. It's so good.
Just so you know, there is going to be a taco truck next to the office tomorrow that does do they say WAB, wet ass burrito.
Okay.
That sounds pretty good.
Well, I know what I'm having. So
but I got to see when they get there because they might only get there for dinner time because for the trivia at the distillery. But
okay, we'll check it out. But
yeah,
hopefully, I was going to say hopefully today goes or tomorrow goes better than today. I put some Decimation Hell's Harvest on my mac and cheese, and I decided to shake the bottle. The cap wasn't fully on, so my hands got covered in it.
I take some blame on that. I didn't secure the cap as much.
I was booby trapped, and for some reason I felt the need to stroke my own eyeball with my raw finger.
I think it was a Final Destination thing. It wanted to get in your eye, so it loosened itself.
Not only is it hot on the tongue, it's hotter on the eyeball. So
yeah, it was funny because you
tastes great though.
For a while, you looked like the skull on fire. Just And it's. I wonder how if that affects at all your eye appointment later this week. Where they're like, we're getting traces of something in here. It's like it's either pumpkin or it's Reaper.
Yeah, no, it's a LASIK appointment. So I'm definitely going to ask. Like, I just had a hot sauce encounter. Should I be concerned at all?
But like, is it going to damage it? No. Will it improve it?
Yeah. Will it make me see better?
Like nothing's proven that. One of the things with the Faiya name, I found out that the Faiya name, which is spelled Faiya, obviously playing off fire, but fire doesn't it sounds nerdy when I say fire after saying Faiya. It's like Faiya, obviously talking about fire. So it's like
oh really?
Yeah. But there's also a song called Fuego that is by a Dominican rapper, and in that song they say like fuego, fuego. And then this one guy goes like Faiya, Faiya, and it says it in that.
I feel like I've heard that.
So I've listened to it a couple times this week because I'm just like, I want to find the song. And then I listen to it. I'm like, it is pretty like addicting. And like one of the translations in the song is like the streets are on fire, which is like, this is all perfect hot sauce fodder. Yeah. But him and a friend of theirs were like listening to it. And then his friend was joking like, oh, you got to go Faiya. You got to call it Faiya. He's like, no. And then he's kind of like, all right, like it works. And it's kind of in the same but much less severe category of Sam Sauce. Part of it is that it's hard to pronounce, but also that's kind of what makes it an eye-popping thing for people. They want to know how to pronounce it. He gets a few people that are like Faiya, which is...
That definitely, like, I knew it because we've talked about it so much, but I don't know. I think I would have been on that train.
Yeah.
Of Faiya. Because you like to make me say things. So
yeah, I'm trying to not do that every episode where it's like, hey, here's another until there's a boiling point where you're like, stop, like calling me out on every episode. But the good thing is you don't have to worry about listening to it and feeling like I'm calling you out when you listen back to it.
Yeah, in my mind, like I just say it once and it goes away forever, not realizing it's quite immortalized on the internet.
It's like weird. Someone else knew about that. What are the odds? So this sauce. I'm going to give you, we'll have you do one guessing game. I'll give you a guess on when this sauce company was officially established.
2020.
2020.
That's funny.
So
it's the new 1919. How funny is that though? 1919, 2020. Next big one, 2021. Yeah, 21.
I won't be around, probably.
No, but
unless the Futurama floating heads.
We can be those guys that like I guess quote unquote conspiracy theorists, like something bad's going to happen in 21.
Be like, hey, these guys, they predicted it, so we should probably use their coupon code. Like not as not functioning anymore, but oh well. But so when Roddy came over here to Philadelphia, he actually worked for Johnson & Johnson Pharmaceuticals.
Sorry, when did he come over here?
2012.
Okay.
So 2012 over here, and then he worked for Johnson & Johnson Pharmaceuticals. And then the company actually acquired a farm and started a community garden, which him kind of thinking, all right, he got roped into it. And he's like, all right, I'm going to plant Reapers. So he planted Carolina Reapers in a community garden, which I feel like is a thing that you would do or I would do now.
Yeah.
If our office was like, hey, we just got a community garden for us to cultivate, it would be, I'm actually trying to work my way into using one of the raised flower beds in our backyard to like take one over, a part of one over with some peppers, because I think that would be kind of cool.
Yep.
But so he planted, Reapers, he planted some peppers. So there was all these peppers after he harvested them. So he started to make hot sauce for his friends and coworkers. So that was kind of the start of that making the hot sauce hobby level thing. And it is something where while he's Dominican, he does say that the Dominican culture predominantly doesn't handle or doesn't do a lot of heat. Like a lot of his milder sauces are the ones that when he sends back to family and friends, they love those. They get angry when he sends like La Muerte or what the Fuego, which is a habanero one.
Yeah,
they like his lighter ones, which I'll go into those in a minute here.
See, that's always
maybe
it's my ignorance.
Everyone assumes further south you go, just like going closer to the equator, like the hotter the weather, the hotter the food.
Yes, my ignorance says the lower the, I guess, latitude number, the higher the heat tolerance. Yeah,
it's not always the case, but his wife is Mexican, and she actually has helped him kind of like get some of that heat in the recipes. Like they've worked on recipes together from what I've read. So that was the start of it. Then 2020, the pandemic hits.
Yep.
And he, was working from home, or he was, at home. And so he was going a little stir crazy, decided I'm going to make these sauces. So the first recipe, this is a little fun trivia for whenever, the first recipe he made was La Muerte, the Carolina Reaper sauce. He wanted to make that Reaper traditional hot sauce. But the recipe involved more time in growing the peppers and getting the ingredients prepped for that. So the first sauce he made was the Sweet Summer Heat, which is the lime pineapple jalapeno sauce. That's the milder sauce. That's also, the Sweet Summer Heat is a tribute to his Dominican roots of, he does not like the cold of Philadelphia or the U.S. winters.
Yeah.
So the Sweet Summer Heat is in remembrance of those Dominican summers, or just yearning for the summer up here. So that is it was a little funny where it's like, he did acknowledge that like the winters in Philly aren't as bad as Sam Hastings in Minnesota. Like those are a little bit worse.
Yeah.
Michigan, I think, is somewhere in the middle.
I always think Sam Hastings is a Florida dude. He comes off to me as like someone who is from just like Miami.
I don't know. Like that. Maybe it's just because like I knew right away that he was from Minnesota. So whenever I see him or hear his name, I'd think Sam Hastings, Sam Souse, Minnesota, and Spam. Because that's like every time someone's like, oh, this is really good sauce. I'm like, yeah, this guy lives in the home birthplace of Spam. And they're like, he lives in Hawaii? I'm like, no, Minnesota. My sister just the other day was like, I always thought it was Hawaii. I'm like, everyone does.
That's funny.
It was kind of like there was like this running bit where everyone thought the movie Shazam was a movie with Sinbad when it really was Shaquille O'Neal. For some reason, everyone just like, there was this thing where there's a whole bunch of my friends that were saying like, oh yeah, that movie was Sinbad. Like, never was a movie. That was Shazam, and that was Shaquille O'Neal. But so he grew his peppers. He made these sauces. The La Muerte was the hottest one that he made of the original. The original lineup was Sweet Summer Heat, the What the Fuego, which is a mango habanero, and which is also my favorite name of the three, and La Muerte, which is Reapers and Caribbean red habaneros. So those are the first three sauces he made. He posted on Facebook to sell them. He made like 24 bottles, I think, for the first batch. Sold out within an hour to 2 hours.
No way.
Like, posted on Facebook, gone. which was kind of
like to friends or like Facebook Marketplace.
I think it was just Facebook for friends.
Okay,
because he did talk about how while he did sell or did make and sell a lot to friends, the first kind of like big aha moment of this could be something bigger, and I'm sure there was a lot of moments along the way before and after. He said when the first order he got from a stranger, no context of him knowing anyone, him being like friend or family, just bought one online because he made a web store to like sell them through. So the funny little dichotomy of that is first big moment, a stranger bought one bottle from him and he's like, this is so cool. Fast forward to May of 2022, there was a post he had where he sold 40 cases to one buyer.
What?
Yeah.
Had to be a store owner, right?
I don't know. Like I saw the post, I saw someone asking like, was this personal or was this professional? And I'm like, if it's not professional, it's like somebody that's just like, I'm getting Christmas gifts for everybody.
Yeah. That's
like,
awesome.
But it was just funny because as I was listening to an episode of him talking about the one bottle that was sold to a stranger, I was looking at the Instagram and saw, 40 bottles or 40 cases sold. And I'm like,
40 cases?
40 cases.
So what is that, 15 bottles per case?
I think so. It's either 15 or 12.
That's crazy.
I don't know what box, but yeah, he had a picture of like like a loading dock basically with all the boxes.
That's awesome.
But so he had that. He, early on he was working his full-time job, much like we've heard with Lucky Dog, where it's like working full-time and working all these extra hours. So he was working, doing this part-time. Basically his hours of sauce making was like 6 p.m. to 3 a.m. somewhere in that window. Mm-hmm. And it was like going from like, every other week to weekly. He had a kitchen he was renting space from. And then he had also had like a setup staging space that he would use. But November of 2021, he quit his job, went full-time into this.
Really?
Which just always, every time I hear it, I'm just like, I always get kind of like, I'm glad we're looking at it now, looking at how successful things are going. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that is always the nerve-wracking thing for me.
Yeah.
I'm like, if there is ever that, and we, I have friends that have gone into their own business on their own where it's like, there's that moment where you have to kind of decide one way or the other.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't understand the decision, like how.
It's got to be hard. Like,
I mean, obviously people love the sauce. People were loving the sauce early on.
Yeah. Like it makes me nervous just from, I don't know. It's always nerve wracking to like lose the sense of security that is just kind of shoved down our throats, like,
yeah.
I know the U.S. is known for like, it's the land of opportunity, but at the same time, it's like you need a job where it's not always like be your own boss. I feel like that's always kind of put to the back burner where it's scary. It's a scary thought, because like you're in charge of your own 100% your own destiny at that point.
Well, and it's something where so much of the past of like U.S. history is like people building it from the ground up, like doing it themselves. But then they become so established where now they're hiring and they're But it's like all these big businesses at some point started as I mean, even like Tabasco. Like we talk about Tabasco and Frank's in the first episode, where it's like that was somebody that wanted to make a sauce and like decided to do it themselves.
Yeah, good for him though. That's a huge deal. So
he talked a little bit about how he uses more vinegar-based sauces because he doesn't do any of the fermentation. He wanted shelf stable. He doesn't have any official culinary background, but these flavors are the best flavors are when they're bringing part of their heritage, their history, their family. Stanky Sauce talks about, this is a sauce that we would, have with the family where their dad said, oh, you should bottle this. His business side of like going into his own business, he did mention in Spill the Sauce podcast how he does, even though he doesn't have a lot of business experience, originally he was using his dad's business experience back in the Dominican to kind of like help and like as almost like a mentor or something like that. So it's very community supported, family supported, and it becomes full circle when you listen to, he does a lot of local Philadelphia based initiatives and things to help the community. Even on the bottle here, and I have it in my notes, but on the bottle here, it even says each bottle donates one meal to help fight food insecurity in the local area. There's a company called 1 Million Meals Mission, or there's a movement called that. And so he does that with, I think it was, look at my notes, Phil Abundance, which fights food insecurity in the area, which he started back in like beginning of 2021. So he's not only starting his own business, he's not only doing this to, make this his full-time career, he's also giving back. And we've seen that with 13 Stars, giving back to veterans. We've seen with different initiatives, Galactic Hobo does different things for MS, because that's something close to them. So it is really cool when you see, even though their drive is to succeed, they're not like narrowing the focus where it's like, hey, move out of my way, everybody else.
Yeah.
He is very much about the community, about.
Yeah, that's awesome.
He talks about how much Philadelphia has supported him and giving back. So that's a really cool part of this. And listening to that just reinforced, I already knew he was a pretty cool guy from the interactions I've had. I listened to, their coffee talks, whether it be live or, pre-recorded after the fact on Instagram with him and Sam. So I thought that was really cool. The label on this, you'll notice on all of his labels except for his Mama Juana sauce, all of these sauces have a very clean, very simple label. Mm-hmm. So, one solid color, and then you got the white font on the front. It really, I looked at is there psychology behind different labeling? Mm-hmm. And it does say how while red sometimes can be bad, and this one's a red label, they said, but red paired with something like a white, that clean look gives kind of the strength of red, and then the white is a clean, secure look. Right. So it's just I really like the labeling on it.
Yeah, I like it.
And it's really simple. And then I don't know if you saw, we got some stickers or some labels. Have you seen his little sticker that he gives out, the logo that he does? Is it the ghost with the fork in it? Or the little stem? So it looks like a little, I can't tell what officially it is, because I'm I see a ghost with a stem. I see a pepper that's been bit, but it has a skull look to it.
So when I saw it, I see a pepper with a stem that's also a fork.
Okay. I see that.
Do you get what I mean? He was going for it's like the FedEx sign. The FedEx has the logo, and then there's an arrow in the logo. He was, which I didn't notice
until way later in FedEx's history.
Really?
Yeah, I'm oh, I get that now.
Yeah,
But that logo that actually was designed by a local Philadelphia artist.
Okay.
And all I saw was their Instagram, which is NWTNJMS. I don't know. They didn't have any name or pronunciation of who the artist is, but they're on Instagram, and they've got some really kind of cool, creative artwork that they do. But it was just a fun thing that they created back in 2021 as well. That we have a handful of stickers in here. We still have to figure out what to put stickers on.
I know.
That's something that
they're has to be established. I got a couple this weekend.
Yeah.
From another sauce maker. So
yeah, I've got a stack of them that I want to get some stickers on something. But also using the local artists and others supporting Philadelphia. We've talked about how we'd like to do a logo that is using something local artists to create some type of logo. A new logo for if we had to build a website or anything like that. So it's always cool to see that. Now, in October of 2021, I did see that he was featured on a Hispanic entrepreneur segment on Fox 29. So I was seeing all these different little news things and articles. And so it's something where Philadelphia is definitely reporting and kind of keeping tabs on his success and how much it's taken off. The biggest move that has happened recently for him, and I think this bottle's a third of the way gone. But the biggest thing that's happened recently is he moved into a new kitchen. He was renting a kitchen. He now has his own kitchen space.
Okay.
So, which is a big move. And he talked about it in a few different podcasts and some of his quick fires where he just talks about the cost and all of the permits and getting all the things in order, getting the engineers to help design it. But moved to a bigger kitchen in June of 2022. And initially he was renting and then had a staging space. So he'd rent the kitchen, use it to cook, then have a separate space to bottle and, package and all that. So, but people keep saying he's growing so fast that they're you should look into co-packing. He says he doesn't want to do that. At least at this time he's against co-packing because he likes that he's had a hand in every sauce bottle that's gone out, which I get. It's your recipe. It's your baby.
I definitely see both sides too.
Mm-hmm. I think it's if you, obviously there are benefits to co-packing of going commercial, the commercial amount can get more sauce out, but it's the same in a much smaller scale. We talk about how we like that we're growing organically in the podcast. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing with this. It's you're growing organically. You're not going to grow too fast where then now your demand is more than what you can right. do. So when he had I don't know if his second or third batch of La Muerte, he had talked about making that La Muerte batch so often that it just, it just like took off on, sold so quickly. And he's like, man, this sold really fast. He's like, I guess I have been teasing it this whole time, talking about just waiting for these peppers to get ready. And
right.
So it's been pretty interesting. The other, not necessarily an initiative, like he does the meal donations, which is a huge one. The other thing that he focused on is he doesn't have any sugars or artificial additives or preservatives in his sauce.
Yeah, I noticed that. It's just ingredients.
The big thing that he wanted to do is he wanted to avoid sugars. He was realizing how much sugar is in just like everyday items. Specifically, he looked at like how much sugar is in like a soda. He's okay, how many grams of sugar? 30 grams of sugar? All right, how much is 30 grams? He got the scale out.
It's disgusting.
I don't need to see it to know. I know that it is, and that's why I typically don't have soda. I'm trying to get back on the no soda for like months at a time.
Yeah.
But because of that, none of his sauces have any sugars like that. It's all natural, and the all natural sauce is just, I love them. I mean, we've done a lot of, I don't know how many, I don't think we've done very many that aren't, other than maybe the grocery store ones. Right.
Yeah, it was cool to see that most of them are like people care about not only the flavor of what they're putting out there, but it's, I don't want to say like hot sauce is a significant part of everyone's life enough to impact their health.
Could be. I mean, if you douse it enough,
I guess you
douse it enough, it's like, yeah, that's what, when I told Angela I was doing this, she was just like, that's just so much like salt and so much this. And I'm like, it's not, if you look at the ones we're having. If we were just doing, challenge sauces they're just like throwing a bunch of salt in it, or, grocery store ones that are.
Yeah. But the whole point was just, it's cool to see how much people care about the product that they're putting out there from a health standpoint and, a culinary food taste standpoint.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I did, in honor of his fight against adding any sugars and anything like that, I did get a couple sugar facts that are going to bum you out. They bummed me out. So, Americans consume on average 765 grams of sugar every 5 days.
Every 5 days?
Every 5 days.
Americans. Can you put that in LBS a second?
Well, hold on. Americans consume 130 pounds of sugar every year. On average.
Dang.
I got more. So, of the 130 pounds of sugar, 130 pounds of sugar equals about 1,767,900 Skittles. Now you think, oh, well, that's a lot of Skittles, but over a lot of time. You would have to eat 4,800 Skittles a day or 200 Skittles an hour.
Dude, that's
what you're doing. You just don't realize it.
Oh, man.
I love Skittles.
I love
are
Skittles.
Delicious.
What did I tell you today? We should get tattoos so we get a lifetime supply of Skittles.
That's
true. Too many Skittles. And I didn't know this fact was coming.
There is a limit. But
4,800 Skittles a day?
Yeah. Based on...
I have a pack and I feel like crap about myself.
Yeah, I eat a whole bag. I eat the family share bag. Yeah. Which I'm like...
I normally get the regular, but if I'm like in a mood where I just want to feel bad about myself, I get the shareable family pack, which is I feel 30 Skittles.
Like just excessive amounts of sugar, and I also feel like my teeth are going to fall out because all that like sugar is just like in the crevices.
That's what the average American eats. So that's the average.
So
that's insane.
The American Heart Association recommends we consume less than 10 teaspoons of sugar a day. The average adult does 22 teaspoons. The average child does 32 teaspoons a day.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So 10 teaspoons a day. How many?
Okay. I mean, the big thing is like soda. Soda is one of those things where when people like stop drinking soda, I did it where I stopped drinking soda after drinking it like religiously, and like 10 pounds was gone in a week. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Well, you were drinking sugar and syrups and calories and all that. So,
dude, that's wild.
It is crazy to think how much sugar is being consumed, but
yeah, to think that there's 160 million Americans out there that are doing more than that is mind-blowing.
Yeah. Oh, it's pretty insane. So I wanted to do that just as a little dive into both me reminding myself how I should be eating healthier, but also he had a focus of wanting not to have like the artificial, the sugars and the additives. So I'm like, all right, let's reinforce that a little bit. Right. And realize you're the average person's literally having 200 Skittles every hour.
Dude,
that
might be the fact of the podcast. So far.
I know. I saw that and I'm just like, all right, well, I should have saved that one.
So did they? Because obviously there's sugars. Like if you eat an apple, there's sugars in the apple.
Natural
sugars. Did they differentiate between like refined sugar versus?
It didn't say.
Okay.
So that's the other thing is like it's hard to say like
I mean, it's still a lot regardless.
I used to do that when I was younger. I was like, I'm going to just only have be healthy. And then I was like, oh, I ate all these fruits. And they're like, well, that's still a lot of sugar.
That's
and
I'm ton of sugar.
Oh, so drinking just like a gallon of apple juice a day is bad? They're like, yeah, don't do that. So the salsa Roja. So I did a little bit of fact on the Salsa Roja. Specifically about the chili de árbol, because we didn't talk about that specifically before.
It's the direction I went.
Is that? All right. So I'm going to let you do your thing because I have a couple things. And
so
it'd be really funny
if
we found...
I'm not prepared. You go ahead.
Well, the chili de árbol, do you know what the other name of it is called?
I did. Hang on. I did read about it. I just thought that was too low hanging of a fruit if you went that direction. So
thanks.
I'm sorry.
So that the nickname on that's the rat's tail chili.
Oh yeah. Or what was the other one? The bird's beak.
Oh, I didn't know that one. So I have 3 facts about the chili de árbol. Nothing's like super crazy. The one is just more of common knowledge of it's one that it ripens from green to red when it's ready, 2 to 3 inches. But the thing I found interesting was, unlike most chilies, they maintain the same name whether they're fresh, dried, or powdered.
Oh, really?
Because a lot of them are like, oh, well, this is a fresh pepper name.
Jalapeno, chipotle.
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
So this is the only one that maintains the same name throughout. Don't know why.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah. It is.
I think it was bird's beak chili and rat tail chili. But yeah, they're doing research on them. They're way more common than I thought. Like I thought, I read the ingredient. I was like, oh, I think this is the first one that we're going to do. And then I started reading about it. I'm like, oh, I've had that. That's in there. I've had that. You know, it's a really good chili.
Nice.
So no, that was a good one. Rat tail's a little off-putting, so I'm glad it's not the...
I mean, you don't have to think about a rat. Just think of someone's cool hairdo. Does that help? Does that?
I guess it's who it's on.
Be like, oh, thanks.
Also, hold on. Did you see, I think it was last week, the United States the U.S. Championship of Mullets?
No.
Did you see that?
No.
The kids that won? Dude, these mullets were insane. But the thing that is crazier about the mullets that these 11-year-olds were sporting is the names of the kids are exactly who you would think would be sporting a mullet as an 11-year-old.
So is it just judged on how well cut the mullet is, or is there like tasks?
I don't know the actual.
Is it like a Miss America pageant of mullets? I just feel like if you have the ability to grow hair just to a successful rate, unlike some people, not looking at myself, maybe. You should
do like an inverted mullet.
Oh man. But you should treat that hair well. Speaking of hair, Roddy does have like a full mane of hair. Yeah. He looks like Troy Polamalu from the Steelers.
Oh yeah, Head and Shoulders guy.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what Roddy looks like. It's funny because when him and Sam are talking, Sam's got the full beard and like a bandana. Yeah. Roddy's got like the full hair. And he has a beard, but it's not the Sam full beard. And it's just funny. I'm just looking at like two sides of a person I can't grow either of, beard or hair.
When we first started the podcast, I thought about doing like trying to come up with a logo that incorporated us without like showing us. Yeah. Which we have nothing to hide, but like you always kind of see like the
fun of like hearing a voice, but like whenever I hear a personality on the radio, when I see them, it takes a little bit away.
It kills it for me.
I had an image of who you were, and that's not. Yeah, that's not it.
But no, I thought about doing that with like. Have you seen how people have just like they'll take the flesh out of it, and then they'll have like a cartoon beard and hairdo? Yeah, like I thought about doing that, but like mine would be like hair, beard. Yours would just be like a set of floating eyebrows. There.
Like, oh, is that a template? Is that?
It would just be like a set of eyebrows. Like,
it's literally a finished. It's literally two pictures. One is the paintbrush app when you open it, and one is when you actually draw something. Yes. It's like, yeah, there's Matt and Mike.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh man, this sauce isn't going to last very long. I hope it lasts till tomorrow so I can have it with lunch.
No, we might. If we don't split bottles, I might have to steal some of that.
Maybe we'll get some good burrito place tomorrow for lunch. Yeah, I'll have to look up nearby.
So, I have one that's directly related to Arbol chilies. Yeah. Do you know how they got their name?
I don't.
So it's Spanish for tree chili.
Okay.
And it's because the stems of the chilies are very woody.
Okay.
So it's different than a regular chili plant.
I know they talked about how people think that the chili de árbol is bitter, but they're like, those people usually are toasting them too much and burning them because they really are supposed to have, even though they're not smoked, they have a smokiness to them. Mm-hmm. Where it's like, yeah, it's not the flavor of the chili, it's your inability to properly prep them.
Right.
I shouldn't say that because like I've tried to like toast things before and like I've toasted. I think I actually have done like chili de árbol where I'm like, I have to redo this.
Yeah.
But luckily I bought it in a pack where it's like I have 4 times as much as I need.
Yeah. Did you buy them dried in the pack?
Yep.
So I had one bad experience, and this was no small batch anything. This was like the big brand name grocery store stuff. Like if you were to go to Meijer.
Yeah.
And just, you look at the bottom shelf of the produce, you see the dried chilies.
Okay.
Got one of those one time. I was going to make my own hot sauce. And I was like, I'll just, cut one open, see what the inside looks like. The entire inside was black mold. I will not, unless I know like where they came from and how long they've been there.
Yeah.
That was quite the turn off because I'm like, man, I've eaten a lot of these. How many of these did I not realize were moldy on the inside?
Now, that's one more thing I have to mistrust.
I know. I'm sorry.
Like, I've already had conversations with them. Like, yeah, like I'm way more skeptical now and pessimistic now about things. Like my friends are talking about the Lions and they're all excited about the Detroit Lions are going to have a good year, which a good year is like 8 wins. That's like 50.
That'd be a phenomenal year.
I know. That's the thing. It's they're like, 8 wins.
Just jinxed us.
They put a prediction on the group chat where it's like, oh, they're saying 8 wins. I'm trying not to get my hopes up. I'm like, this is sad, guys. And I'm just pessimistic going, like, I hope they get 4. Like, I don't know. Yeah. I used to be, I'm still a fan, but I'm a very beaten down fan of the Lions. Pistons, I'm still there. Mm-hmm. I'm still like, but they're a young team. I'm excited. I'm going to be backing them. But the Lions have just beaten me down so much that I'm like, I have to wait and see. So
my other fact, which is they started talking about like the health benefits of chili de árbol.
Yeah.
So this one's just kind of a general. And it was actually the opposite of what I would have thought. Capsaicin actually lowers your blood pressure.
I know capsaicin has a lot of benefits, and that's a good one because
I would have thought it raised it.
I usually have elevated. You'd think that, but somebody else, I don't know if it was blood pressure though. I think it was someone at the Boston Hot Sauce Fest. There was an article I read before I went there, and they were talking about how hot sauce actually helped them with certain like indigestion and heartburn things, which I'm like, I would have not thought.
Yeah.
I'm like, maybe there's something else going on, but it is weird where people think, oh, hot sauce, like it's got to be bad for you. Like it's you're burning up, you're sweating. Like it looks like it's not good for you. There's a lot of benefits.
Yeah.
It's kind of in a weird way. I don't know if this is going to be a good analogy that people want to use or not, but like, so like hot sauce, you'd have the hot sauce. There's that initial pain. And then there's like a relief. There's some people even say like the really hot stuff, if done right, is euphoria. It's like how they say like, if you're going to cry, you should cry because then your body will then like rush endorphins? Yeah. And that will make you feel better. It's like, it balances itself out where same thing with the hot sauce where it's like, it's just take the heat, take the pain.
Yeah.
And then afterwards you'll have the reward.
Right. I was talking to my little brother about garlic. And like the health benefits of garlic.
Yeah.
He's like, dude, too much of a good thing is a bad thing. He goes, I have a coworker who, for breakfast, because he heard that garlic is good for your heart.
Yeah.
He's like, instead of like incorporating it into something, he's he'll pop just raw garlic first thing in the morning. He's like, you smell the office.
So my dad usually gets pickled garlic, whole cloves of pickled garlic, which is fantastic. I can have one. It's great. I love it. Have 2. All right, we're doing okay. 3, I will smell like garlic. It will permeate from my pores.
Oh, yeah.
So usually I'll have 2 cloves, unless I know like Angela's like took the kids to go visit her parents, and I'm like, I can have a couple more. I'm like, I'm going to be home alone, just showering off that garlic smell. But I love garlic. I'm a huge fan of garlic. Overly powering garlic like that, I can see that being a problem.
At least his ticker's good, though.
Oh, yeah. The heart is just like...
That's the important thing.
The Rocky Balboa of hearts. Just ready to go. But, yeah, I've got my grade.
So do I.
I graded this one pretty fast.
This was an easy grade for me.
So I'm also just eager to try this on sauce. I know that it was funny because I've talked to not both directly and indirectly, I've talked to a few people about trying Roddy's sauce here, and at least 3 of them have had different sauces that is their favorite. Mm-hmm. So it's not like, oh, you know, like you've got to try this one sauce. This is their sauce. The rest are just kind of like holding on to the coattails.
Yeah.
Like this one is fantastic. I already told you, I don't know if it was on the pod or after, I want to try the La Muerte probably the most. I'm most interested because it's a Reaper sauce that people have talked highly of with a tomato involvement in there. And like people say it's a very reminiscent sauce of some of the classics. So that's interesting to me. The Mama Juana is a very like unique one that I think Sam Hastings was saying that he got Costco empanadas, poured it on there, said, that's call it a day, which our office air fryer can cook empanadas.
Dude, that thing's got some miles on it.
Yeah.
That thing got used a lot today.
Yeah, it was. It was on it all day. And then there was just What the Fuego has been a popular one, that Sweet Summer Heat. That one sounds really interesting. That's a lighter one. This one was not part of his original lineup, but he also had a salsa verde. There's just so many different flavors. But for this one, I went with an 84.
I had 89.
Dang.
I think that's my second highest hot sauce.
I think it is. It is. So, and even when I did the 84, I'm like, I feel like it should be higher.
I felt the need to throw it in the low 90s, but you got to go with your initial gut instinct, which, I mean, that's phenomenal.
It is. Know? I mean, we talked about how above 75, this is something we want in our kitchen year round. If it's 50 to 75, we recommend to buy. Anything above 50 is recommend to buy. And then 25 to 50 is, you know, it's like Frank's or something, like they're fine. Like, you know, you should try them, but like, we're not going to go out of our way to, you know, and then below 25 is just not for us, maybe for you. I love that. That's I gotta get a t-shirt. I gotta get a t-shirt or make one of those like quotes, another quote where it's just like,
it's got to have a graphic of just like a slide scale 0 to 100. And then it's got to have 0 to 25 framed. And it just says, it's not for us, but it might be for you.
It's just like, that one's just like a hug to the bottle of whatever sauce, which has never been on this episode or on this podcast below 25. There was the one time you thought, because I was really talking up the 25 and below, and you're like, is he going to do it?
I was like, oh my gosh, he's really like softening this blow right now. But you're like, oh yeah, 70, 80 something.
This is, like it says in the bottle, this is an everyday sauce, a classic sauce to put on. I mean, I want to put this on my breakfast food. I want to throw this in a burrito. I want to put it on my nachos. I'd throw this in the mac and cheese you had today. This would have gone on that.
Probably be good for your eyeballs too.
You know, it might. I feel like it would do better. I feel like you'd be less sad with this. Don't try that at home.
I don't know. This has the vinegar and the heat to it, so
that's true.
Yeah,
but no pumpkin. Pumpkin was what really hurt.
Yeah, that dang pumpkin.
Pumpkin.
I can do the ghost pepper, but keep the pumpkin out of your eye.
Yeah, that's the big one to avoid. One thing that I wanted to mention, Roddy did say that he's going to be at the Chili Pepper Festival in Bowers, Pennsylvania, September 9th and 10th, which I told him, I'm like, we got to get to some festivals. I know we talk almost every episode. I talk about how I want us to get to the Fiery Food Show beginning of next year. Ideally, we could get to like 2 shows a year, like big shows. And then the rest is kind of like there's a chicken wing festival, actually the same weekend as that, I think. There's a chicken wing festival in Lansing. Yeah. I really want to get to that.
Yeah.
Because that's not hot sauce specific, but it is hot sauce adjacent, where it's like there's got to be, if someone knows what they're doing, they're going to have a booth or a table somewhere. Because I would be like, okay, this is great chicken. What's the sauce?
Yep.
So check that out if you're in the area there. I did do a quick look. I'm like, how far is Bowers, Pennsylvania? It's only like 10 plus hours.
It's on the other end?
Yeah, it's on the other end, over by Philadelphia. So we should have done a spoon counter of how many spoonfuls you've had on this.
We got to start doing that.
Because I did like a couple, like just to get a little bit of flavor.
I don't know, whatever half a bottle is.
Yeah, we're down to half a bottle. So I wasn't worried. I've heard a lot of positive feedback about all of his sauces. And it was something where I asked him, like, what sauce do you think we should do? You know, we want to make sure it's something unique. And he offered up the Salsa Roja as an option. And I'm like, yeah, let's do, it's like a classic, but also a classic we haven't necessarily done in that lane. I like finding a sauce where it's like, we'll try your other sauces. We're going to try, like, we could do 2 weeks of quick fires, basically, of just like a daily, every weekday of these sauces. But having that first one be kind of like, this is one of your lane, your sauce. But the La Muerte is what I want to do next. That's the one of his sauce I want to do next, is the La Muerte.
I'm sure it's good.
It's going to be spicy. So that is our Faiya episode. Now, I do have a couple quick special thanks. I talked about the s'mores with the agave jalapeno from Stanky Sauce. I wanted to give a quick thank you to Melissa at Sweet Melissa Cooks on Instagram. She's the one that she did a stank week of different recipes with Stanky Sauce. Mm-hmm. And she had some good ones like grilled cheese. She had, what did she have? She had a couple of them, but the s'mores one just stuck. And then once we were camping, I'm like, I'm going to make a s'mores with this agave jalapeno. And then also, Desperately Seeking Hot Sauce, they messaged us on Instagram. Her and her husband were, I don't know where they were, but they were recommending a called Full of Flavor Jerk Seasoning that she said her and her husband like absolutely loved. Told us that we got to try it. So I'm very curious about trying that. Not necessarily like on an episode, like maybe just a post or something little special one-off.
Yeah.
She was just saying that her husband loves jerk seasoning, loves super hot. Mm-hmm. And this is...
I'd be interested to try that. Like, I know we're definitely hot sauce specific, but I'm definitely open. We've already tried a few barbecue sauces. I'm open to some dry rubs or something.
Well, we have like a limited edition hot sauce from Chris Cooks Crazy, who's more barbecue. He got rubs and barbecue sauces, but he makes hot sauce too. Mm-hmm. It's a very easy bridge.
Yeah.
It's one where I don't want to get into like trying a bunch of like super sweet barbecue sauces because I feel like that's not ideal. Yeah. But trying some of those like seasoning and barbecue sauce, hot sauce, those rubs, it's all going to, ideally, it's all going to give heat, give flavor, give layers.
But I still have to get around to my Desperately Seeking Hot Sauce brats. That is high on the to-do list.
Yeah. No, and she had the recommendation of that mustard to go in like a cheese sauce, which, put that in a cheese sauce, top it with some salsa roja, drizzled over top. I did funky garlic marinated chicken. Do that.
Yeah.
I could have just like 4 weeks of episodes all in one dish.
Right.
That would be fun. But final thank you to Roddy from Faiya for being a supporter for the duration of our podcast. We've been doing it since March, which is crazy to think.
That's weird.
Almost at 500 followers on Instagram, which is also crazy because I think I have 150 on my personal one. I also don't try.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying that that's, from me putting effort into it, but it is crazy to think of how many people have just followed and sent messages of support or wanting to be on the podcast or wanting to be involved. It's just really cool. So thank you for Roddy for being one of our original listeners and letting us try his sauce and sending us the whole gambit that we're going to, I don't know if we'll try to stretch it out over a duration of time. So we get to like little Faiyas here and there or just a week or two of Faiya.
Yeah.
I can't say, I have to like consciously say fire. I won't be able to.
That's funny. You're going to make a phone. There's going to be a fire somewhere. You're going to call 911 and be like, there's a fire. They'd be like, sir, you're in Boston. Somebody's
got
a hold of the wrong 911.
Like, what's our safety topic today? Like, know what to do during a fire drill. Like, fire drill? Like, yeah, fire drill. Like, what's a fire drill? But thank you again for everyone that's listened. If you, depending on what you're using, please rate, review, wherever you listen to our podcast. Send us a message if you have any feedback, recommendations. If you use Salsa Roja, tell us how you've used it in a dish because we'd love to try it, cook it up. We can post it on the gram, whatever it might be. Definitely follow us on the Instagram, the Heat Source Podcast, for any updates. And if you want to get some fire sauce, which you definitely should, Roddy said one of the things he loves to joke about is buy one sauce or buy 9. He's got to pay the rent. So 9 would be preferable based on this sauce. 9 of these alone you would burn through in like...
Oh, yeah. I would have no problem buying 9.
Based on the trajectory of this hour, it would take you...
a couple more hours.
Yeah. So check him out at Instagram at faiya.co, his website, www.faiya.co, and then Coffee Talks weekly on Friday on Instagram Live with Sam Hastings from Sam Sauce with some special guests occasionally. So, yeah, that's it. I'm going to need to hide this bottle from you until tomorrow for lunch.
Yeah, that was a good one. I gotta take a drive up north. I think I'm going to go try to see that mammoth or mastodon dig site.
We'll talk about it next week.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Talk to you guys later.
See ya. What was the website where you could get a celebrity to...
Cameo?
Mm-hmm. If Michael Cera's on there, let's just say, can you read this and have him do the intro to the Heat Source podcast and just use Michael Cera to do
I mean, less likely, but also funny would be Natalie Portman. Where it's like, thank you, Natalie.
She can do our outro. Michael Cera wins.
It's just bye.
Bye.
Could be anybody's
Natalie
voice.
Portman saying bye.